Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Matt Rupert.
How you doing, my man?
And Matt Jackson.
What is going on, guys?
Not much. We are getting into some week 6 questions to discuss and lots of other things. Looking ahead, we're going to play a little buy or sell. A lot of fun stuff coming up this week on the show. But how's y'all's weeks been? What have you been up to?
I feel like I'm finally getting my feet settled in this new job. It has been just sheer craziness and pandemonium for like 3 weeks. I think I told you this last night, Cooper, when we were having a ministry chat. And I was like, a student ministry of 14, 16 is a lot different than a student ministry of 52. So
Yeah,
it's definitely been a different ball game. But I finally feel like I'm on solid ground now, which feels amazing.
yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Rupert?
It's beautiful fall weather here in Northeast
That's
Tennessee.
right.
So I went camping with my oldest son this weekend. Hung out at the state park with the family before then. And then yesterday we just went and spent all afternoon at the park and rode bikes, played on the playground. It's just like picture perfect weather. So just spent every second of it outside.
Nice. We're actually recording a little later than usual tonight because I just came from a men's dinner at my church, which they do once a month. It's always a really good time. We eat real good at these things. And it's just a chance to meet other guys in the church and catch up, see people I don't always get to see. Because our church has a bunch of different services. So there's a bunch of people who I go to church with, but I don't see them on Sunday morning a lot because they go to a different service. So anyway, fun time at the men's dinner. So let's get into the show. And we are going to start with some week 6 questions to discuss. And the first one is about one TreVeyon Henderson, running back for the New England Patriots. And the question is this: is TreVeyon Henderson stuck? Ramondre Stevenson outtouched Henderson 13-10, but Stevenson averaged just 1.4 yards per carry. And while Henderson was better, he was also inefficient with 3 yards per carry. So Ramondre continues to be a jag. They continue to give him the rock anyway. Stevenson, or Henderson rather, interestingly, seems to be struggling with pass protection, which we all graded him a 10 out of 10 for that when we were breaking down his college tape. So, what is TreVeyon Henderson stuck? And I guess as a follow-up, what are we doing with him in Dynasty? I'll start with you, Rupert.
He's not stuck. It's not like Ramondre is just like out there producing and showing out, and then therefore he's going to keep Henderson benched. It just seems like one of those things where like the coaching staff stays loyal to a guy that may be like a good locker room presence, and they keep on handing him the ball. Like we see this all the time. We saw it last year with Bucky too, right? Like Rashad White.
It took forever, for Bucky to take over.
Yep. So we've seen this time and time again. We know his talent. We've all seen it on the NFL field. Granted, it was mostly in preseason. They haven't allowed him to do too much in the regular season. So I think at this point, like, you just have to hold. And like, honestly, he's a good buy candidate if you're trying to rebuild and someone needs someone to contend. Like right now, I think you can trade, someone that's producing more and try and get him to help you rebuild.
Yeah, I think it's less of a case of Henderson stuck and more of a case of, I don't know, Vrabel and the coaching staff just either one, don't know how to utilize that running back room, or they just don't care to begin with. Like that offense is much more like funneled through Drake May. They're opening up the passing attack. They're letting Drake May do his thing, and he's honestly cooking this season. So they don't need to run the ball or be as efficient in running the ball as they have been in the past. I think this is a great case of like we as a fantasy football community have been so accustomed to watching these guys break out year one and like just accepting that like that's the way that it has to be. And like the sheer matter of fact is like some of these guys don't break out year one. The talent, as Rupert said, is still there, and you might have to hold on. But like, I'm not worried about Henderson whatsoever. It just might take longer than a lot of people thought that it was going to.
Yeah, the Vrabel factor is interesting. It's like, when he was in Tennessee and he had Derrick Henry and he's giving him the ball 30 times a game. And it's like, are there two more different running backs stylistically than Travion Henderson and Derrick Henry? I think,
No, there's not.
Ramondre kind of fits that bill a little bit more, like a big thumper that you can hand the ball to 20 times. And so, yeah, I wonder if this is just like not a good fit between Vrabel and Henderson, but this one is pretty simple for me. Sometimes rookies produce right away, and sometimes you have to be patient. And this is a case where you need to be patient. If you're competing and you can flip him, maybe with a small plus to get someone, can I send Travion and a second or even a third and get somebody like Bucky or Jonathan Taylor or somebody that's going to be a huge difference maker and drastically increase my chances to win a championship this year? That's at least worth considering. That's about the only scenario where I would sell him. In general, I just stay patient. Henderson's going to pay off eventually. But if you're a top contender and you can find a rebuilding team that has one of those guys and it makes sense to do close to a 1-for-1 swap, consider something like that. But beyond that, just hold, just be patient. All right. So our next topic, Kimani Vidal, last year's darling. The guy, it seems like there's always somebody who's like late day 3 and everything about their profile says don't bother, but the situation looks good. So we're going to, he's everybody's favorite sleeper. Last year he was with the Chargers with Dobbins, and everybody thought Kimani Vidal was going to take that job, even when Dobbins was hurt. And then Gus Edwards was hurt. Kimani Vidal still wasn't usable. But now, both Najee and Omarion Hampton are out, and Kimani Vidal put up a massive game this week. So Kimani Vidal is an RB what? Fill in the blank while Omarion Hampton is out. Jackson, we'll start with you this time.
I mean, I'm going to go, I guess, with an RB2. There's rumors out there that the Chargers want to trade for another running back before the deadline. And I think there's a real good chance that they could do that. I think if Vidal gets out of this unscathed, he can at least be an RB2, right? I mean, he got, 21 touches last week. I think on pure volume alone, if he's getting that amount of touches every single week, like he's going to be a really nice, usable asset on your team. But I think if anything, like this opens up a sell window. If you didn't sell your Vidal shares last season when both of those guys went down, like you're getting another opportunity to do that. Because like Hampton is going to be back and like this is going to be his backfield to run with. So you're getting Vidal for what, 5-6 weeks at most, maybe. And then he's come like if he comes off the IR, like he's coming back and he's losing that job. So I don't know. If anything for me, I'm selling now that a sell window is open.
100% agree with you there, Jackson. And with the way that Jim Harbaugh on that team just likes to run the ball, I don't see any way that they don't trade for a running back. There's multiple that you can think of out there in the market that are on teams that are contending where they should sell him or sell those kind of running backs. I really struggle to see anyway. So I totally agree. This is a sell window, so go ahead and sell now.
Yeah, I will also say RB2, presuming he keeps the job. So I've heard those same rumors that they want to go add somebody. We'll see what happens. But anyone seeing 21 touches like he did this week is going to put up at least RB2 numbers just on volume alone. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. Like the jaggiest of jags, you give them 20 touches, they're going to put up RB2 numbers because there's just not that many healthy running backs that are seeing that kind of volume of touches. But, again, keep in context Miami's defense. This is the same defense that Rico Dowdle last week put up 200 yards against, and he did it this week again. But Not that the Cowboys are much better. Yeah, this Miami run defense is just not good. Just not good at all. So even if he continues to see this kind of volume, he's not going to get 6.5 yards per carry on the regular. So this is probably his high water mark. And I would agree that I would see, what kind of market there would be out there to sell him. But I do think he can be a very useful short-term fantasy asset, presuming that he keeps that job until Hampton comes back. All right, so now we are going to get into a little bit of buy or sell. And I don't mean are we buying or selling this player? I mean, are we buying or selling this take? So I'm going to give a take, and you are going to tell me whether you buy this take or you're selling this take. And yeah, we're going to get into it. So the first one, our guy, Cam SkatteBOOM.
The
We love
show's
him.
guy.
The show, yeah, he's a certified Couch Scouts, my guy for the brand. He's doing it, looking good for us. So here's what we're buying or selling. Cam SkatteBOOM is a top 12 running back in Dynasty. And actually, originally, I gotta call out Garrett here. He put top 15 on the show sheet. I changed it to top 12 because I was like, top 15 is too easy. Yeah, we probably all had him in our top 15 before he broke out. But the buyer sell, Cam SkatteBOOM is a top 12 running back in Dynasty. I actually thought about making it top 10, but I'll start with you this time, Rupert. Is he a top 12 running back in Dynasty?
Yeah, of course, that's a buy for me. It's just, like if you're someone that values like longevity more with running backs, I can see the argument for not putting him in your top 12. Just with his play style, like it may not be the best for a rebuilding roster, but he's going to be a guy that, it looks like he's just going to be like a monster producer, especially in the red zone for at least a couple years for us.
Yeah, he that's the only concern, right? Is he going to set a world record for how fast can somebody get CTE? Just lowering his head on every
texted
single.
you guys. I texted you guys during that Eagles game. I was like, man, Cam is gonna have the wildest 3-year career ever. It's gonna be so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's no one more entertaining in the NFL right now. It's so great.
All right, Jackson.
I'm buying that take as well. I redid my rankings today, and I've got him sitting firmly at RB12, actually. I think if you'd made that RB10, that might have been a little different of a conversation. But top 12 running back, like, I'm taking that all day. His play style is the only question. Like, he is so fun to watch. Like, even when he's torching my Eagles, like, he's still just so fun to watch. Like, that game was hard for me to, like, not root for him a little bit. But, I mean, you look at some of the other guys that are around him, like, he's producing a little more than those guys are already anyway. So, I think from that aspect, like, you have to have him in there.
Yeah, for sure. I put buy on this as well, and I also updated my rankings. Once we actually get them live on the site, we're going to be better about doing this every week, but I had let it go 2 or 3 weeks where I hadn't updated them. And so when I saw the question, is Cam SkatteBOOM a top 15 running back in Dynasty? I went and checked it. I already had him top 15, and I hadn't even updated it in like 3 weeks. So I've been there. Which is why I changed the prompt on the show sheet. But yeah, I mean, Garrett put a great stat on here. Since taking over a 50% snap share in week 2, SkatteBOOM is the RB4 in PPR formats and is tied to what looks like a promising quarterback in Jackson Dart. So if I had him top 15 before the quote unquote breakout, and then he's doing what he's doing, seeing the volume, like Tyrone Tracy's back, and it's like, who cares? Cam SkatteBOOM is the guy. The cat's out of the bag. You can't put it back in. And I will say there's a lot of good running backs in Dynasty right now. We talked about last week, is Judkins a top 8? And we said no, but like it was close. I've got Judkins, Henderson, and SkatteBOOM kind of all back to back to back 10, 11, 12. And the 9 guys in front of them are really good. I mean, you're talking James Cook and Jonathan Taylor and Bucky Irving and Really, really good players. So I could see any order there. Like if you wanted to put SkatteBOOM 10, Judkins 11, Henderson 12, just because he's not producing yet. Like I'm not gonna nitpick with you, but those guys are all like not just positionally, but even in my overall ranks. Like it's 3 running backs in a row, and they're back to back to back. They're right next to each other in my overall rankings and my positional rankings. So, but yeah, no matter how you slice it, SkatteBOOM makes the top 12. So I'm buying that. And, just to tie it back into what we said a minute ago about Henderson, if you're a contender and you have Henderson and you want some more immediate production, maybe consider trading Henderson for SkatteBOOM and maybe seeing if you could get a plus on top, because Henderson still has the name brand value and the draft capital. And, I don't know. That would be interesting to see. Like, could I get Henderson and a second or SkatteBOOM and a second for Henderson? This is what I meant to say.
All I know is I'm really excited about my 7 SkatteBOOM shares. It makes me really happy.
Yeah. I've got quite a few, and there's been multiple people in the Discord that have been like, man, I wish I'd have listened to you guys. I don't have enough shares. Skip Newton texted me the other day. He said, man, I wish I had more shares. I should have listened to you guys. So, yeah, it's a fun one to see him doing it this early and to the level that he's doing it at. So, all right, next topic. Buy or sell, Josh Downs is a talented yet game script dependent wide receiver. Rupert?
I definitely buy that statement. I've always loved his talent going back to college, but frankly, like the Colts are just not the kind of passing offense that can support all the weapons. Like if someone like Josh Allen had these kind of weapons, or Patrick Mahomes, like this would be like a dream scenario. Most teams can't even fathom putting together a wide receiver core of Pittman, Downs, Adonai, Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Tyler Warren as like your 5 to 6 pass catchers. And then on top of that, oh yeah, you got Jonathan Taylor running wild out of the backfield. There's just so many mouths to feed, and there's just not enough passing attack there. If they had like prime Drew Brees, able to sling it for like 5,000 yards, and you could rely on Downs a little bit more, but it's going to be so hit or miss, unfortunately.
That pretty much hits the nail on the head, honestly. That's about the perfect statement that you could have. I mean, Downs is a talented receiver on not a high volume passing offense. Like that offense runs through Jonathan Taylor, and they're doing a good job at it. I think Daniel Jones does a good job of managing that offense well. Doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot. And Tyler Warren's getting here. Pittman and Pierce are going to be involved. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to go around. And just because of that, like he's not, I mean, any pass catchers outside of Tyler Warren really on that offense is just not somebody that you're really too terribly interested in having right now.
Yeah, the interesting thing that I'll add, because you guys mostly have said it here, but he's only playing in 3 wide receiver sets. He's only playing in the slot. Like when it's just 2 on the field, I'm pretty sure it's Pittman and Alec Pierce in most of those 2 wide receiver sets. I mean, I'm not like watching a ton of Colts games, but just looking at the snap share here, even like week 1, 49%, 58, 51, 62, 50, and 51. So he's only had a couple of weeks where he's even cleared like 55% of the snaps, which is, I think, a crying shame given how talented Josh Downs is. I think he's good enough to do more than just slot work, but he is 5'9", 171 pounds. And they're a team that, because they have Jonathan Taylor and they have a really good tight end room, and they're a defense. They've got a game manager at quarterback, so they're trying to win the ball game with time of possession and grind out the clock and play good defense. So all of that lends itself to they're probably running. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I would guess they're running 3 wide receiver sets at probably one of the lowest rates in the NFL, and they're only using Josh Downs in 3 wide receiver sets. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I think he's talented. In that draft class, I had him in my top 3 wide receivers. It was Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison and him. I had him above Quentin Johnston in that draft class, which for a while looked really good. This year, not so much. But yeah, Downs is a talented player. Just this week, 7 targets. He scored a touchdown. Like, there's going to be good weeks in there, but it's just going to be hard to trust him week in and week out. He's just 24 years old. You got to hope that at some point he lands in a better situation. I think he'll have good years and, he'll have down years. And I think this year is probably, I guess you would use the phrase down year, but just not, it's not going to be trustworthy. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break before we get into some more buys and sells here. And want to shout out to you guys that are listening the great benefits that we have at CouchScouts.com. If you join the Couch Scouts family, you're going to get access to an all 22 film room. You're going to get access to in-depth rookie analysis on last year. We did 70 plus prospects. I'm sure we're going to do something similar, if not more, this year. When we get to 2026, we're going to give you everything that you need to dominate your rookie draft. We do bonus podcasts every single week. As soon as we hit stop on this recording, we're going to go record another one just for our members. A lot of our members have raved about the 30-minute consultations that they can book with us, where we'll go through a dynasty roster of your choosing and help you develop a personalized strategy. So definitely get in on CouchScouts.com. Check out our different packages. Consider joining the Couch Scouts family. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee once a month, and it definitely helps support what we're doing here. We reinvest basically almost everything that we make right now. We're just reinvesting back into the product to make the product better for you guys. And we've been able to give a lot away to good causes too, which has been awesome. So definitely check out CouchScouts.com. So getting into the second half of the show here, we're going to continue with some more buys and sells. And the first one we're going to cover here in the second half of the show is Aaron Rodgers related. So here's the statement. Here's the take. Aaron Rodgers is going to see a post-buy bump. Are you buying or selling that? I'll throw it to you first, Jackson.
I'm selling that personally. I think that if you're a team, I mean, we've had a lot of quarterback injuries right now. You've lost Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson's been out. Some of the guys at the top of the list, your Brock Purdy's, your Kyler Murray's. I mean, they've all gone down, right? So if you're a team that needs a quarterback, you could maybe buy Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, at this point, honestly, like you're looking at Aaron Rodgers and you're looking at buying a 41-year-old quarterback. Like for me personally, I've got several teams that I'm contending and several teams that I could honestly use a quarterback to come in and play for me. But I feel so uncomfortable about giving usable draft capital. Like, what do you have to pay? A second at the least right now? Maybe for somebody that's playing like Aaron Rodgers is. Like, I'm not paying that for a guy that's 41 years old. So for me, I'm selling that statement.
Rupert?
Agreed. I'm selling. It'd be different for me. Like he's playing very well this year. Not denying that at all. But every offseason, he's talking about retiring, whether or not he's going to come back or not. If it was a situation where like Brady is like very vocal for a long time, I want to play until I'm like 45. Like if Rodgers was doing that and I feel more comfortable that we're going to have a couple more years, then I'd, potentially see a bump. But as of right now, like you have to treat him as only an 8-game, 10-game rental at this point. You can't look in to get any more of him since every single offseason it's like, I don't know if I'm going to come back or not.
Yeah, for sure. I'm on the fence with this one. I think he might see a little bit of a bump just because contenders become more willing to open up their pocketbooks the further that you get into the season, right? The closer that they get to smelling that championship, maybe they have a guy go down or whatever, or they just want some insurance. Like, I don't want to get into the playoffs. Maybe your league has a trade deadline. We're not going to get into that debate whether they should be or not. But let's say your league has a trade deadline and they don't really have a great QB3. And they're like, I don't want to get into the playoffs and my guy goes down and I don't have any insurance. So I think, yeah, we've already seen JJ McCarthy, Burrow, Lamar, now Kyler have gone down for stretches. Somebody else goes down. Maybe it's, a guy like Dak Prescott. not trying to, speak anything into existence here. Nothing against Dak Prescott, but he gets hurt a lot. Older guy. Let's say you're a contender and you've got Dak as your QB2 and he goes down. Well, now you might be interested in going and buying a guy like Aaron Rodgers who's not going to break the bank to acquire. So, like right now, I have him on a roster that I thought would be a contender, and it's not. And I'm kind of retooling for next year, and I don't know if he'll be on my team next year or if he'll be retired. So I'm kind of looking to get what I can for him. Right now, I think if I said, hey, any third, he's yours, I'd have him sold in seconds, but I don't really want to take a third. So I'm hoping that he can get just that little bit of a bump because I think, like you said, if I say, hey, will you give me a second? I think everybody would kind of go, no, I don't really want to send a second. So he is in kind of that weird middle ground, and I think there is a chance in the down the stretch, post bye, heading into your fantasy playoffs, that he could at some point garner a second round pick. But like nobody's going to treat him more than a 1-year rental, so his value can only go so high. Like a second, a late contender second, if you're lucky, would be the highest that like quote unquote bump would get him to. You're not looking at more than that realistically. So, all right. Next topic. Are you buying or selling that Zay Flowers is a top 15 wide receiver for 2025? And I will start with you, Rupert.
Absolutely sell on that. I still think he's a talented player, but just for fantasy purposes, I just don't see him ever getting that high. You may see stretches where he gets hot and produces like a top 15, but for the long term, to me, he's more of a wide receiver too that you have on a team that's like super talented, like a Devontae Smith. Although I think Devontae Smith would be a better wide receiver one. I just think he probably would be better as a wide receiver too.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He's definitely a wide receiver too for me as well. Especially with that offense, you don't know when Lamar's coming back, and that offense is just so incredibly static with Cooper Rush in at quarterback. Like it doesn't look good. And like with him being out, I mean he's been wide receiver 1 week 1, but then he's been wide receiver 27, 89, 23, 29, 39. Like that's not even in the realm of conversation of wide receiver 15. So for me right now, like he's a great wide receiver 2 or 3 on your roster, but I don't know if he'll ever be more than that.
Yes. So he is 15th exactly right now in total points at the wide receiver position. But like you said, he had that huge week 1 performance that kind of has buoyed him, and he's lost some steam, particularly with Lamar out, of course, which is understandable. But also we're like multiple years into his career and we kind of know who he is at this point. Even like he's 15th in total points, but he's wide receiver 22 on a per game basis because there's other guys that have had a bye that would be above him in terms of like a per game average. So he's not even wide receiver 15 now. I definitely don't think he's going to be at the end of the season. Um, I know if I'm a contender, I don't feel good about having him in my wide receiver 2 spot. I want him to be my wide receiver 3 at most and preferably a flex. So, yeah, I'm also hard selling him that he's a top 15 wide receiver for 2025. And if you could get paid as if he is, I would sell the player.
No, I
All
think he's
right.
one of those players like Rupert said that is in the Devontae Smith realm, right? Where like he's got the name value, but the stats aren't exactly backing any of that up. So I think you could probably get more right now than you should be able to for him.
Yeah, but Devontae Smith, I think is much more talent. Like, not, I
I
don't
would
want to say
agree with that. With the
I don't
offense,
want
the
to say
offense is probably
talented.
better.
Like Zay Flowers isn't untalented, but
The offense is the
he,
problem with Devontae Smith.
yeah, well, for the Ravens, it's like we used to say, okay, well, the true wide receiver 1 on the team is Mark Andrews. Well, that's not really the case anymore. Zay Flowers is clearly like the guy in that offense, and he still just puts up wide receiver 3 numbers. week in and week out. Seems, for fantasy, he'll give you that 128-point performance where he got a couple touchdowns and you think, all right, he's going to be the alpha, and he just doesn't do it consistently. And yeah, I think we know who he is at this point. So next topic here, buy or sell. Tyler Warren is a top 3 tight end in Dynasty. And I'm going to go first on this one. This is an easy buy for me. Bowers still belongs up there when he's healthy. McBride is still very much in that conversation. As far as 2 guys that are young and producing at a really high level, difference makers for your team, there's not really anybody else I think that even belongs in the conversation outside of Tyler Warren. The closest would be Laporta and Kraft. Laporta has reestablished himself as the number 2 option ahead of JMO this year, but still has put up 3 fantasy stinkers this season as they continue to spread the ball around between all their weapons. I just don't think you can trust him week in and week out like you can trust Warren already. And Kraft, he's young, he's showing some promise, but similar deal. Like, he's very up and down. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. I think Warren has done more in a few weeks in the NFL than Kraft has done in a few years. So for me, like, not only is he tight end 3, but there's a tier break before tight end 4.
Yeah, no, I think this is the easiest buy in the entire sheet. I mean, we just got done talking about the Colts offense, right? And how they're not a heavy passing offense. Well, even in all that, he's been a top 10 tight end 4 times this season. Like, easily tight end 3 right now. I think the only people, as you said, that deserve that conversation are Bowers and McBride. And honestly, Warren is a lot closer to McBride at tight end 2 than he is to Laporta at tight end 4. Like, I think you could have the conversation that he's tight end 2 more than you can have it that he's tight end 4.
I heard somebody say he's tight end 1, which I don't know if I agree with, but
No.
it's
still
like
Bowers. Like,
Bowers is
how would y'all
dealing
forget?
with some injury stuff. Let's not forget who Brock Bowers is, but I do think, I mean, it just speaks to like how good Warren has been early. And I think we said this like weeks ago, right? Like, after his week 1 performance, maybe we said this. We were like, look, if he continues to do this for a couple of weeks, he's going to become unattainable in Dynasty, because we've seen how much the Dynasty community will bump up a tight end who's young and producing and looking like a difference maker at that position.
Yeah. I'm in 100% agreement. Absolute buy. Totally agree that he's closer to McBride than Laporta or Kraft, for sure. And frankly, egg on my face for only getting 1 share of them. And I kind of got scared off with the Colts landing spot there, and I bumped Loveland 1 spot over him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Rough.
Granted,
it was close.
Yeah. I never drafted a Loveland over Warren. It was Loveland fell to the second round a couple times.
Sure.
But yeah, I was able to make a trade and get Warren after the draft. So I got 1 share, but that's it.
Yeah, I think I ended up with Warren like 1 spot ahead of Loveland. I mean, hindsight's 2020, but yeah, coming out of the NFL draft, they were pretty close for me. And obviously Warren has had way more opportunity early on. I have some shares of both, but definitely thrilled in the places where I got Warren, because similar to Bowers when he was a rookie, like if you got him, you probably got him at like 7 or 8 in your rookie draft. And that just looks like such a steal now. And I think it's the similar deal here with Warren, where you probably got him late first, and now you've got a cornerstone asset on your Dynasty roster. So, yep. All right. Well, that is going to do it for the show this week. We appreciate you guys listening. If you haven't yet, leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, and make sure you go and join our free community Discord. The link is in the show notes. There's 250 plus Dynasty fantasy football enthusiasts in that Discord, talking ball all the time. It's a great community. No strings attached. We just want to get to know the people that listen to our show. So click that link in the show notes, join the Discord, introduce yourself to us in the Discord, and we'll look forward to hanging out with you in there.